Ooh. I know my answer, and I think I know your answer. I think this is easy. Abortion is worse than slavery. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think abortion is worse than slavery.
How not?
Because I think there are cases when abortion is acceptable.
Well, and there's no case where slavery is acceptable.
Correct.
Okay, there's a couple ways to approach this, but let's take it the first one. When do you think abortion would be acceptable?
Early on, very early on. Also, if there's like some severe deformities where the kid's not going to survive, those are cases when abortion is acceptable.
Why would you say so? Well, I mean, why do you think that would be acceptable then? Let's say, because those are two distinct categories.
Sure, I'm just giving two cases where I would say those things are far more acceptable than slavery.
But you wouldn't say it's acceptable to kill. You wouldn't say it's acceptable to have an abortion in the first trimester. Objectively, you're just saying it would be more acceptable than slavery.
No, I am pro-choice early on, although decreasingly so, given it's kind of very disturbing to me as a lifelong New Yorker to see how many of these slippery slope arguments across different issues have not only been validated, but like not only they put butter and margarine on that slope, they also put, I can't believe it's not butter. So it's just like, that thing is so it's greased as
because it's got seed oils on it too.
Yeah, the seed oils.
Poison, yeah.
But
because my argument that I think would be acceptable within a kind of libertarian or anarchistic framework for why abortion is always worse than slavery is that abortion always ends a human life, even if it's a deformed person or even if it's a very early stage human life. And that the right to life is not merely one right among many, but it is the fundamental right without which the other rights cannot exist. Kamala Harris just had this great quote. The great philosopher of our time, Kamala, she was giving a speech at a pro-abortion rally, and she said, in our Declaration of Independence, we're promised certain things. We're promised the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness. I kid you not. Yes. And you say, wait, what came before? Liberty. No. I think it was before that.
Yada yada, the good part.
Yeah, the right to liberty and the pursuit. No, what did you just call it? What did I just hear? And so, you can't pursue happiness without liberty, and you can't have liberty without
You
life.
can pursue happiness without liberty.
You think so? How can you pursue anything without liberty?
Because there are people who are in horrible places, like I talk about in my book. I've been to North Korea, who are pursuing happiness.
But when I say liberty, I mean it more in the kind of Christian sense of the term, where one can never take away the liberty of one's mind.
Oh yeah, okay, right. That is a precondition to assuming happiness. Yes.
And so, if slavery is a question of liberty and abortion is a question of life, then doesn't the question of life always have to take precedence over the question of liberty?
Yeah, but I do think there are certain cases where first of all, I don't agree necessarily that early abortion is a human life. Second of all, and that's a whole, I know everyone, yes, I know all the comments, thank you. I'm sure this is something you've never heard before. But the fact that it's sometimes to me acceptable, whereas slavery is so beyond the pale. And I also love the idea, I can just hear the comments right now, that people, even though that was the question, are going to tell me that me being against slavery is virtue signaling. Because you know that.
So they're not going to be upset.
Look at this badass. He thinks he's against slavery. Yeah, I'm against it because he brought it up. I didn't bring it up spontaneously. I brought it up in response to the question.
I like the idea that it's not, people aren't going to be upset with you for being in support of abortion in some cases.
Right.
It's that you're against slavery.
Look at this badass.
That's the internet for you.
That's true. I'm going to get heat for that.
Wow. Okay. All right, well, I guess I got that wrong. I mean, I think I got the question right, but I got your intuition wrong. Maybe we slide down the slippery slope 6 to 12 more months. Maybe my answer will be correct by then.
I am just gratified that these different states that are enacting pro-life laws are basically declaring themselves anathema to awfuls, affluent white female liberals. Because it's like, this isn't your culture. Stay where you belong. Yeah. And that, to me, is the most important aspect of the pro-life movement.
That's true. Hey,
or not most important, but a very important one.
But it is funny you mention that, because the pro-life movement, I mean, there are Democrats in the pro-life movement. There are leftists in the pro-life movement. And which I sometimes even forget, because I think it's all conservative, Christian, Republican type people. But there is something, I think, compelling as we see a political realignment going on, to just people looking at it and they say, well, the people on the pro-abortion side, they're just terrible. They're just wrong about everything.
I
you
can't
know?
call myself pro-choice really because, first of all, if we're in a day and age where pro-choice means 9 months, I'm out of here.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
of course.
this is not an argument. Like, what are you talking
No,
about?
Dave Rubin, last I talked to him on this issue, he was pro-choice. He was totally fine with abortion. And I've noticed over the years, I say, well, so when do you think it's acceptable? And he keeps pushing that date back, you know, and I think he's following that. I think he's following the logic of abortion as he thinks about these things. But I think a lot of it also has to do with, wait a second. So these people who are ostensibly on my side of this question, they're wrong about everything else. You know, that was actually
And ugly.
And physiognomy is never wrong.
But the other thing is, it's also different once you have a kid.
That's so
When there's a face and it's like, then it's complete. You know, I'm an uncle now. It's not the same as being a dad, obviously, but it's just like, okay.
There's a similarity. I mean,
There are things that's like, oh, okay.
I know plenty of women who have had abortions, at some early, some very late. And I did have this thought, because I have two kids. One just turned 2, the other one is 6, 7 months old. And I was holding my little infant baby, and I was thinking, especially a couple of months ago, I'm thinking, he doesn't look that different than he did in the belly.
Yeah.
Like that they could. It's like, this isn't. You know, they tell you, the pro-abortion people, they tell you, oh, you can't see the baby on a microscope, and it's all just a complete lie. I mean, you can see these are like real. They got their little fingers by like 9 weeks or something. That's true. When you seeing is believing, I guess.